So the last topic we're going to cover here in chapter 11 is going to be how to use these colligative properties to find the molar mass of an unknown solute. And again, we'll have a lab where we do this with freezing point, kind of. And so we'll work off of that. But this will help you all out with the lab and just with some, homework problems, things like that in general. And so there's two things you need for a molar mass. You got to know the grams of the unknown. You got to know the moles of the unknown. Because ultimately what we're going to do is we're just going to divide grams of unknown by moles of unknown in our sample, and boom, you've got a molar mass. You've got grams per mole. And so you have to record or measure grams unknown. So if it's like a paper problem or a test problem or something like that, they got to tell you. They just have to. It's the only way. You can't theoretically determine this number. It has to be recorded. But what we do is we work on finding moles of unknown. And basically any lab where you're finding molar mass of an unknown, we always get grams for free on the balance. You just bing, boom, you got your number. You know how many grams of unknown there were. You don't know how many moles that is. You don't know the molar mass, but you got the first piece just like that immediately. And then you go through something like a titration or a freezing point depression or the gas laws to figure out how many moles there are, and then you solve from there. And so with colligative properties, we've got 3 of them we can work with. And the first 2, freezing point depression and boiling point elevation, the process is very similar. So you're just going to solve for molality. And so the molality is going to equal your change in freezing point over IKF or your change in boiling point over IKB, depending on which one you're working with. And then once you have molality, keep in mind that if we multiply that by kilograms of solvent, because it's moles of unknown, moles of our solute over kilograms of solvent, well, we measure out how much solvent we work with. Maybe it's 500 grams or maybe it's 2 kilograms. Who knows? Again, it's something we'd measure out, so it has to be given to you. You multiply it out, you get moles of unknown. Boom, and you calculate. Now it's a little different for osmotic pressure because we're working with molarity. So again, you're going to solve for molarity, which, that should be a big M right there. Pardon my goof. Last video of the day, starting to feel the fatigue. I've got just enough voice left to finish this one, and then I'll have a different shirt for the next video because it'll be a different week. All right, so molarity, we solve it, it's just going to equal pi divided by IRT. We solve for molarity. We multiply by the liters of solution. So this is some straight up chapter 4 stuff right here. And you get moles of unknown. And again, you just divide the grams by the moles, molar mass. So the trick is just getting moles. Grams got to be given you. And so these are the processes you go through. I'll make sure to have one of each on the practice sheet so that you can kind of see all 3 of them, make sure you don't have any questions. And so after this, it'll be on to chapter 12, which will be about solids. So we're going to go from solutions to solids. And the next chapter, this one I gave you 2 weeks is a little bit tricky. The next one will be almost kind of like a little bit of a break. I don't go too hard on chapter 12 because solids are actually, there's a lot of complicated stuff that's just not there for general chemistry. So don't slack off too much on the week, but you'll recognize if you've done the smart work for it already, that it is not your normal chapter, but I'm still giving you a full week for it. But then after that, get ready because the next 2 chapters in the class are a wild ride.